Hello, how's it going? In today's video, I'm gonna sound less ill, and also I'm covering In Search of Godhood and the Tomb of Sargeras from Chronicle Volume 2. So let's go! After the last video, you might be wondering just how Gul'dan managed to betray the Horde. Well, wonder no further. As Doomhammer and his forces buggered off away from Quel'Thalas, Gul'dan kinda waved him off like, "See ya, good luck, have fun, I'll definitely catch up with you in 3 days." He then waited 2 days, just to be safe, and then he gathered his allies and informed them of his plan to head to the Tomb of Sargeras. He promised power to all who followed him, more power than you could shake a stick at. Nearly every member of the Twilight's Hammer and Stormreaver clans pledged their support, but there were a few noticeable holdouts. Firstly, the Amani Trolls. They didn't give two shits about Gul'dan's quest. All they cared about was destroying the High Elves. And the Dragonmaw was still loyal to the Horde, so they moved to bar his path. At first they were like, "You want to leave? You gotta go through us." But then they realised fighting wasn't actually worth it, because the most likely outcome was they'd all just annihilate each other and everyone would die. So they kinda just stepped aside, probably a little bit embarrassed. So as the Dragonmaw set out west to rejoin the Horde forces and warn Orgrim, Gul'dan and his followers went south. Every now and then they'd come across a bit of human resistance, but to be honest, those humans were idiots. When they reached Hillsbrad, they commandeered some Horde ships and sailed west. However, Gul'dan wasn't aware that some Blacktooth Grin Orcs had pretty much caught up with them, grabbed some ships themselves, and were right behind them. And the Blacktooth Grin were not the only threat Gul'dan should have been worried about, because kil'jaeden wasn't too happy with him either. This betrayal of the Horde was also a betrayal to the Legion. Also, I imagine kil'jaeden's pride was a little bit hurt. He hadn't seen Gul'dan's betrayal coming, so he was pretty much ready to straight up destroy the little warlock bastard. But Sargeras had another idea. He ordered the Demon Lord to stand down, and kil'jaeden was like, "You what, mate?" This wasn't out of mercy though. Sargeras decided he wanted to have a little bit of fun with the warlock first. Let him find the tomb, let him come within reach of what he desires, let him taste it, and then we'll rip it all away, just like that twat did to the Horde's hopes of victory. Gul'dan's journey to the Tomb of Sargeras wasn't a big barrel of laughs. It was almost as if nature itself was like, "Nah, we're not gonna let you get there. Have a storm, you jerk." But they did eventually near the tomb, and Gul'dan could sense the power emanating from within. It was pretty overwhelming. He probably cried a little bit. Tears of joy. The tomb itself rested at the bottom of the sea. It was going to need the combined effort of Gul'dan and all of his followers to raise it to the surface. So that's exactly what they did. Gul'dan led the ritual and weaved all of the magics into a single immense spell, and the tomb very slowly lifted, along with the big rocky island it was situated on. Suddenly, the Blacktooth Grin approached, and Gul'dan realised he didn't really have the numbers to survive this threat. The only way he could win would be with power harnessed from the tomb. He had no idea what kind of dangers lurked within, but there wasn't really any other choice. So he ordered Cho'Gall and the Twilight's Hammer clan to hold their enemies back, whilst he and the Stormreavers entered the structure. When they did, they discovered they weren't alone. Back when Aegwynn had transported Sargeras' avatar into the tomb, she'd also imprisoned a number of his demon followers. Most of them were dead, or near death, so she'd assumed it was a good idea. But over the millennia, these demons had fed on the avatar's lingering power and had regained their strength. Sargeras himself gave the command, and these creatures leapt from the shadows. They tore Gul'dan's followers apart. Once that was done, they turned to the warlock himself. I hope you're not squeamish, because they flayed him alive. They ripped flesh and muscle from his bones. For a brief moment, his howls of agony shook the tomb, and then there was only silence. Only a few of Gul'dan's Stormreaver followers survived the encounter. Before they fled the tomb, they recovered their master's head, because it held great power or something. Bit weird, but okay. Outside, the Twilight's Hammer tried desperately to survive against the Blacktooth Grin Orcs, but on Dalrend and Main Blackhand's command, the Twilight's Hammer were cut down and left to rot in the tomb's shadow. Cho'Gall was gravely wounded but managed to survive thanks to a few of his clan taking him to a ship and them cheesing it. The winds took them west to uncharted waters. The Blacktooth Grin Orcs felt really pleased with themselves and sailed east. As proof of their victory, they'd retrieved Gul'dan's skull. Orgrim will be happy. The orc who sold his race into demonic servitude is bloody dead, mate. And we're leaving it there! In the next Volume 2 video, the Horde's retreat doesn't go so well, and then there's another sea battle. As always, thanks very much to those of you who support the channel as patrons. Links in the description if anyone wants to blah 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 blah. If you enjoyed this video, like, subscribe, all of that bollocks. And all that's left to say is, thanks for watching, and see ya!